and welcome back to If Only April. So today I'm gonna show you how to refinish old varnished furniture without sanding. If you follow my stories, you've probably seen that a couple of months ago I got this 7 awesome chairs from Goodwill for, oh my god, wait for it, for $40. The deal was so good that I just simply could not pass on it. And even though, these chairs are not perfectly what I was looking for, I mean, for $40, 7 chairs, yes, give it to me. When you refinish furniture, the first obvious step is to sand it. But as many of you probably agree with me, sanding is so annoying.
Annoying, isn't it?
I don't like sanding at all. And for these particular chairs, it probably wouldn't be even an option since they have so many curvy legs and my orbital sander wouldn't get to it. And to do it by hand, it was just too much work. I mean, it's still possible, don't get me wrong, but I didn't want to be bothered that much. So my first initial reaction was to actually strip down the top layer and leave it bare or stain it in some nice color, but just have this texture of the wood visible. Well, my backup plan was to paint it over if it didn't work, but still remember that I didn't want to sand it at all. I came up with 2 solutions. The first one was to use WATCO refinisher and the second one is to paint it, but you have to be very careful about painting furniture over varnish, because when I tried to paint it over on top and then I scratched with my nail, it just easily came off, the paint didn't stick at all, and I realized that yes, it has to be a better solution. So if you want to know how to paint over furniture with this glossy finish without sanding it down, keep watching. So the moment of truth, I'm going to try to take down the stain that those chairs are painted with and see if the green is good enough and I could use it, or if I should go ahead and repaint the whole thing and just not to be bothered. So we're gonna try it out. I'm gonna be using this WATCO refinisher, so you need to have a steel wall grade. You see, it's a 4/0 grade, so it has to be very fine. Heavy duty gloves and some steel pen. Let's get to it. So don't forget when you're using a refinisher like this that you have to do it in the well-ventilated area. That's why I'm doing it right now while the weather still allows me to do so. So let's get to it. WATCO refinisher, the idea sounds so intriguing because you can basically strip down the top layer, the top coat of the varnish, and get to see the beautiful grain that is hiding underneath, which didn't happen in my case. It's probably not very well seen on the camera, but it really takes off the stain. Which is honestly, it doesn't really make much difference. Well, I tried. And you can always try to take off the stain and see the underneath the wood, but this particular wood is still very yellow, nothing really special about it, and it doesn't bring out any beauty. So I'm just gonna go ahead and paint it. So let's talk about WATCO refinisher. It has so much potential. Seriously, it's like the way it started stripping down the varnish was amazing, and I'm pretty sure that in some better wood grain, it probably would be better and it would work. But unfortunately, I wasn't impressed at all with the original color and grain of this wood. I'm not even sure what kind of wood is that, but it was nothing really impressive. So here comes the big question: can you repaint the furniture without sanding it down? And the short answer is yes, yes, and yes. But you need to prep it first, and let's talk about the preparation work because that's a key in this whole process.
Preparation is the key.
Let's take it step by step how to repaint the furniture without sanding. First step, you need to wash your chairs very well. I usually use a mixture of 50-50 vinegar and water. It is cheap, environmentally friendly, and works really well. Spray the mixture or wet your rag and wipe off the dust and dirt, paying special attention to the areas where dust collected over time, like these legs in my case. Next step would be fill in the cracks. Since chairs are quite old, there were quite a few beaten up spots that I had to take care of. I used wood filler to fill up the cracks that could be shown after the layer of paint. As I always say, wood filler will save us all. The next step for me was to tape off the cane. Since I wanted to keep an original color of this beautiful cane, I taped it off with masking frog tape and covered it with paper to prevent it from getting paint splatter. When applying masking tape, make sure to seal the edge to prevent bleeding through. I have to admit, I didn't do a fine job, and you'll see later what happened. And here's the secret ingredient for this whole prep. Use stain blocking oil-based primer. So here's the thing, oil-based primers, they pretty much stick to anything. I mean, like literally everything. Water-based primers, they would not stick to the glossy surface, and that's why it doesn't make sense to use it. But here's the tip. If you're gonna be using latex paint on top, just make sure that the oil-based primer is meant for the latex paints on top, because not all of the oil-based primers are made equal. Sorry for this blurry footage, my camera decided that it doesn't want to work. If you'll be using latex paint on top, make sure you choose a primer that goes on top of all surfaces but under latex paint. Not all primers are made equally, but this particular one that I'm using is perfect for what we're doing here. Another thing is that I've tried to use my oil-based primer with my spray painter. It basically clogged it so badly that I had to clean it up twice, and after the second chair I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just gonna use a brush. But here's another thing, if you're gonna be using a brush while applying oil-based primer, it's inevitable that you're gonna have some strokes because the oil-based primer is so thick. To avoid that, the next step would be to lightly sand it with a 220 grit paper, sandpaper. I know, I said that we're not gonna sand anything, but this is not that kind of sanding that we were talking about. You don't have to really work hard. So what I'm saying is just lightly sand it, the primer down, so the surface is very even, and you can apply a latex paint on top and it's gonna lay down smoothly. Let it dry completely, and it shouldn't take too long. By the time I finished all the cherries, the first one was already dry. So the next step would be to use few coats of latex paint. If you prefer oil-based paint, go with it, but I just prefer water-based latex paint. It's easier to apply using a spray painter. I usually do at least 2 or 3 coats to make sure it's perfectly covered. And I would just suggest to start painting the bottom first and then flip it over and start painting the top. And next we need to take off the tape. When you take off the tape, you can hope that you did a fine job and the paint didn't bleed through. Or maybe just do a fine job from the beginning. In my case, it didn't work, and yeah, I had to fix it. You can use a knife and carefully scrape the paint off the cane. Or you can just take a small brush and paint the outer cane weaving. I actually did both because on one chair there was so much paint that I had to paint it over, but mainly I scraped it off, and it looks fine. You can't even tell. And to finish this off, you have to apply a top coat of polyacrylic or something, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't do it because I was so lazy, and I had enough of these chairs and I just wanted to put them on display and use it. And I guess now, after a couple of months, it's already a bit too late, but the images that you're seeing right now were taken after 2 probably months of me painting it, so they've been holding up pretty well. I would say it was a very successful operation. But if you want to make sure that the paint never gonna come off, then definitely use the top coat. Refinishing old furniture, it's not for everyone, and I'm probably for the category of people who is not obsessed with it. I mean, I don't mind it, but I'm very happy that it's over, and yeah, I probably won't do it anytime soon. I really hope that today you learned how to paint furniture over varnish, and if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and follow me along on my journey. My DIY amazing journey. Oh my god, it's so much fun here. Just subscribe, just hit that button, and notification button too, yes. I'll see you next week, bye! So I found 7 chairs, and you know why I actually took on this deal? Because I knew it. I absolutely knew it that my kid's gonna break one of them. And guess what happened? They broke it even before I started painting it. So that chair was perfect testing chair for me because I didn't have to ruin the rest of them before I started.